floor is yours, Senator.
Great, thank you so much. So a lot of the information that I have is probably information that you guys already know, since I think everyone has been watching and paying attention to what Governor Newsom has been saying daily. But as we all know, this is a two-part crisis. The first is the public health side, which we are triaging at the moment. We all heard about not enough hospital beds, and so it's really important to stay at home. The other crisis is the economic one. People all over the state are losing their business, their jobs, their ability to support their families. So California has now seen over 1.6 million unemployment claims filed, and that's increasing daily. So it's really difficult to imagine our economy during this kind of contraction for weeks on end, and we're going to have to do our best. And I know that in the prior, I think Frank had mentioned maybe compiling a list of businesses who are hiring. Actually, I did that just a little bit on my social media, but Lucy was correct in that they're mostly, grocery stores, delivery services, logistics. But it's really important to help folks who really want to try to work, find jobs in this time frame. With the underlying thought that it's always best to stay at home. So earlier in March, the state legislature, prior to adjourning for recess, authorized up to $1 billion for the governor to carry out his COVID-19 response plan. And this was a bipartisan effort which came together to support funding for this, which includes leasing and activating more hospitals, providing hotel beds for people experiencing homelessness, and supporting local government to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in the homeless population. The cleaning of childcare facilities so that we can keep as many as we can open, getting more hospital equipment, including masks and respirators, and supporting hospitals, nursing homes, and other facilities. So I am personally working with federal, state, and local partners to ensure that we can do everything we can for everyone that's negatively impacted. So some updates this week. The most important one to note is that beginning today, the federal government is offering a first-come, first-serve loans of up to $10 million for small employers. So I'm joining the governor in calling small businesses to apply for these loans as soon as possible, as they are first-come, first-serve, and he had announced that yesterday. He also announced the $50 million in loan guarantees for small businesses that may not be eligible for federal relief, as well as in announcing OnwardCalifornia.org, which is a platform connecting COVID-19 displaced workers with over 70,000 job opportunities in critical industries. And the one question that I get asked lately is about small businesses. And the state is now allowing small businesses to defer payment of sales and use taxes of up to $50,000 for 12 months. And another thing to note in terms of water, I know I've seen a lot of conversations around water. The governor has signed an executive order that will restrict water shutoffs to homes and small businesses. In terms of the education, I know a lot of parents are wondering about what's going on. The governor had announced a major agreement between teachers, classified employees, school boards, superintendents, and principals to work together to provide distance learning to students. A lot of folks are antsy as, he had announced the possibility of schools closing through the end of the year. This is important. The agreement includes a collaboration framework for school employers and employees to work together, including on direction of implementation and delivery of distance learning. And I know it's taking some time to get that up and running and to get used to distance learning. So this is going to be something that's really important for the state and for our educational system to work on. I am actually working on price gouging legislation with Senator Umberg, and we're going to be working with the OCBA's office to author this bill. I've actually been volunteering at school districts to hand out meals, and we've been hearing from a lot of parents about how much they're paying for eggs and for other items, and this is a huge deal that's happening in our communities, and this is going to be a piece of legislation that will address that. So I believe that is right. That's what I have right now in terms of an update from the state. But I would like to point that there is a great resource, which is the website, it's covid19.ca.gov. Or if you want to go to my website too, we have, I have a page that addresses all these issues. So that's senate.ca.gov/Chang/COVID-19.
Thank you, Senator. So I know we have some questions.
First question comes from OCBC President and CEO Lucy Dunn. She wanted to ask if there's any talk amongst the administration of using an executive order to offer CEQA relief in order to jumpstart housing and infrastructure projects as an economic comeback.
That's a great question. I know that there's a coalition of senators working on this issue, but I'm sure that once we get the announcement, I know that there's an announcement that we're not going to be returning physically to Sacramento on April 13th. But prior to recessing, we did approve, teleconferencing. So we might be working on some of these issues via teleconferencing. So I think we're still trying to figure out how that's all going to work out in the next week or so. But yeah, that is something that has been discussed regarding housing components and restarting our economy. So that's a great point, and I'll make sure to bring that up.
Thank you, Senator. And I don't think we've yet received any other questions. So if anyone has a question, they can email it to me. But is there anything else, Senator, that you wanted to share with our group? Of course, we have business leaders and nonprofit leaders. Any projections you see coming down from the state?
Well, I think that we're all just trying to figure out when we can, restart the economy. I've been hearing from a lot of small businesses that they're antsy, and some believe that this is a over-exaggeration. I don't believe it's an over-exaggeration because, as we've seen in New York and across several other countries, this is going to have such a tremendous impact, and the fact that we are bending the curve right now speaks a lot about the leadership that the governor has expressed, and it's so important to continue bending that curve so that we see what we can do at the end of April. That's the talk is that this won't peak until the end of April, and I think we're all anxiously waiting to see if that's going to happen. But we're taking it a step at a time. Every day we're having both caucuses are having constant conference calls, and we are communicating almost like every other day with the governor's office. So this has been a real bipartisan collective effort to support the governor and everything that he's doing to protect Californians. So, but I am open for additional questions. Just feel free to email me and go on my website and contact me. I'd love to help out in any way that I can, and I know that we can all get through this. It's so important to care for each other. That's really the underlying message, is that we really should care for each other and figure out how to support one another. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Senator. If you have a moment, we received one last question. Folks, this came from Dina Rockford and wanted to ask if the state would be considering waiving the 10-cent per grocery bag fee, considering folks are not bringing reusable bags, if that's not suggested by some at this time.
Yes, that's a great question. So I've heard that some grocery stores have just waived the fee, the 10-cent grocery bag fee anyway, but that will be something that we'll be bringing to the governor's office at our next call.
But we thank you so much again for your leadership as well. It's going to take all of us kind of rowing in the same direction to get through this. So thank you, Senator, for your service and for your time today on the call.
Thank you guys so much for everything that you're doing.